Welcome to our session, our free 1-hour course, our short course. And what we're going to do in this hour is to show you the reality of how your life works. A lot of people find that life goes on and just happens and they really haven't got a grasp of it. And it's quite fundamentally different to what we hear and learn in the various educational institutions, because they are restricted in what they teach. They have to be very careful in what they teach, sort of practical things. And what we are really interested in is how you can create the experiences that you wish to undergo. So in the same way as if you were going on an ocean voyage, sailing in a beautiful yacht, beautiful blue sea there, nothing obviously is more important than knowing how to sail. Obviously, if you don't know how to sail, you can't get to your destination. And what that means is that, sorry, people keep flashing me. I'm going to have to put the mail thing away. I get constant emails now of people saying, I can't get in, I can't get in. Okay, don't show it again. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So your life is also a voyage, but unlike your yacht, when you were born, you didn't come along with a manual of how to live. That would be very useful for many, many people. You just arrive as a little baby, but there's no one there to tell you exactly how life works, what's going on, what is this universe, who am I, all those kinds of things, and people spend their lives trying to work those out. So a lot of people believe their life is random, or something to do with luck, or some accidental forces are in play, or some other fantasy. That's what people go through their lives believing, and it's an unfortunate misunderstanding, and it comes about by lack of study. Now, why people do not study how life works is a very strange phenomenon, and most people actually do this. They just sort of are in reaction of some sort or another. And of course, that is to their own detriment. It's not a good idea, in other words. So what we'll do here is reveal what the most insightful and intelligent geniuses of all time discovered, and around whom all civilizations and spiritual paths grew. So we'll go for the brightest of the bright. I mean, after all, why settle for the also-rans and those opinions of those kinds of people? We need to cut straight to the chase. We're not going to go into hours of theory and philosophy or anything like that. So first of all, we're going to look at how your life actually works. And let's start at the core of your everyday life. People want to be happy. This is completely normal and sensible. But what they don't realize is that in order to be truly happy, and therefore to be able to create your life in the way that you want it to be, you need to know your true self. That is the issue. Know thyself. This should be the morning session in every school. It's not, of course, it never appears. And even then, if it did, people wouldn't know what that actually was, because all of us are submerged in the machinations of the personality and the sub-personalities, all those individual structures that make up your personality. And most people have no idea whatsoever what makes up their true self. What is this true self? In fact, the functions of their personality, what it does is hide their true self from them. That's just what happens. And this is because their memories, what's happened to them in the past, hold so many challenging experiences that everything that is outside the realms of civilized life has to be suppressed. This is what all the great religions turned into: crowd control. Then you have the law and the police and everything else controlling the crowd, keeping everybody in a very limited stream of behaviors and self-expression. And that's what has to happen. That's what civilization is, the control and narrowing down of many natural characteristics and drives. So this is as it should be. We don't complain about that. We don't fight against that. We accept that as intelligent choices based on thousands of years of history. Now, the reality is that so many people are filled with unresolved material pain, suffering, bad memories, that if they sort of let it all come out, then the world would be a madhouse, quite obviously. Now, when people take drugs or alcohol, a lot of alcohol, they lift the lid on what controls them and behave in ways they regret the following day. So in this work, which is real spiritual work, we're not looking for a return to the jungle or some sort of uninhibited raving and unrestricted behaviors. A lot of people think that. They all move away to the countryside to shake off the trappings of civilization, to be in the now and all that sort of stuff. But then as soon as they've got a toothache, back into civilization they come. So they're not really leaving it. What we are looking for here is the real thing, because what you really want, what you truly want, whether you are aware of it or not, in all the things that you're going for in your life, is to become your true self, as all the greatest spiritual paths have advised you. And this means to become a primordial being. Now, a primordial being is somebody who is totally in touch with the power of life. They are in full control of their systems. It's not becoming a wild animal again. They are actually far more civilized than the vast majority of other human beings. They're not an uninhibited wild animal, which a lot of people fear is going to happen to them. On the contrary, they're completely the other end of the spectrum to that. What they've done is they've actually become life itself. Now, what is this thing called life? Well, nobody knows. It's primordial. It is powerful. Just sit in a thunderstorm and watch the lightning. Stay under a roof, obviously. You don't want to get killed. And see the power of nature, uninhibited, unrestricted, primeval, those kinds of things. And what these people do is they bring the structures of the personality under their control by ceasing to identify with them. That is the big issue. What you identify with makes up your life. And in other words, as the old traditions say, they've let go of what they haven't got. So in the same way that you have this personality, this civilized structure layered over your true self, it's not what you are. It's something that's there that you have, but it's not got in the sense that you're holding very tightly to the depths of your being to hang on to this personality, personal mind structure. Somebody who has done the job on themselves, which I'm going to describe shortly, are completely integrated with their essential nature, with this primordial power. They're not identified with the personality. The personality is something they use to communicate with, that kind of thing. It's not something that runs their lives. It's something that they use to communicate, to express, to attract, to draw in. It's just a faculty. It's like having a pair of hands, a personality. That if you have a pair of hands, you can do all sorts of things with it, play the piano, cook a meal, and so on. But the hands don't run your life. They're not there driving you, are they? No. What they are is something very, very useful, and when you train them, something very practical can make beautiful music, and so on. So what you're looking for, in spite of what you're told by the advertising profession, is the natural state. That's what you want, page one. That is the basis from which everything else must arise. And it's what you need to aim for if you want to become a fully alive being and be fully conscious, as well as be filled with happiness and a sense of being totally free. So let's see, keeping that in mind, what exactly it is that is creating your life. Because if you can grasp what this, what shall we call it, faculty, structure, thing is, and we'll be doing some techniques. I'll be giving you some things to help you. Then you have the keys to the greatest life possible. So from now on, think about making that your goal. How can I have the greatest life possible? I've got unknown number of years to live. People are living longer and longer. What is it that I could do that would make me be able to say, I'm living the greatest life that I personally, not measuring myself against anybody else, but I personally could live? You want to be thinking about that a lot. Freedom, 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 inner freedom, external freedom, that kind of thing. So let's start at the beginning. And in this life that we live, we go about our daily business. There is an unknown something which is somehow creating and sustaining every aspect of life. We don't know what it is, but something is doing it. And for ease, we call that unknown something the universal mind. If you look into the scriptures, the ancient writings about it, you'll find that that's exactly what people call it. It is this universal mind stuff. And they use the word mind because it is a very broad, open word. It could mean anything you want, actually. There is no definition of mind. There's a collection of sort of dictionary meanings which are sort of waffle, basically, because nobody knows what it is, and they certainly don't put it around as this amazing creative intelligence of life. So mind is a word that is used to describe the manifesting power of the universe. When you read the deeper works, you find that there is the consensus, the agreement, that there is this mind stuff, this divine part of the universe, divine mind, perhaps it's called divinity, those kinds of things, that is so powerful, so fulfilling, so extraordinary, that once you've had a little taste of it, a little weeny taste, nothing is ever the same. Now, your own thinking mind is something very different from this. And this is where most people go wrong with their self-improvement and their personal development, or trying to create their life. They make the mistake of muddling the thinking mind with the universal mind. And a personal mind is considered to be thoughts, images, and feelings. And thoughts and images are basically electrical charges that play out in words and images. These are the things of the senses, in other words. Now, this is the most vital point of all, if you like. The great sages have all told us that you will never find that essential self, that primordial energy you're looking for in the thoughts and images that flow through your personal mind. Many people waste their lifetimes. I've had a lot of them come to my meditation courses who've spent their time entangled in the chatterboxing of the mind, never found anything. You find a lot of philosophers, highly intelligent people, study words and great books from the ancient masters and things like that, but that's as far as they go. They don't understand that what they are looking for is something that is far, far deeper than their ordinary personal mind. You see, when you're looking for the universal mind in your personal mind of thoughts and images and feelings, it's like looking for lightning in a 9-volt battery or a AA battery. Now, there is no lightning. Obviously, there's electricity, a little bit of electricity in the battery, but that's all. The universal mind, the primordial energy, which is the power that creates your life, is masked by your thoughts and images, which you are so familiar with. So it's like there is a great ocean, but the waves on the top of the ocean, whipped up by the wind, let's say, stop you seeing into its greater depths. And it is the waves of your thoughts and images and feelings that stop you seeing into your depths and also being able to access your true power. That's what happens. So you need to access it again. It's there. You're not barred from seeing it by some external authority. It's just your psychological habits and conditioning. So how can you do that? How can you actually get back to this source? Because if you can tap into this source, you can then cause it to join with you to create a fabulous relationship, the money that you want, the lifestyle, all those things come magically to you, manifested by your tapping into this power. So first of all, we need to get the intellectual understanding, as that tells you how and where to aim. That's what happens. And here is a valuable tip. Listen to this one very carefully. You're trying to find the manifesting power of life, and it lives between each image and each thought. You can't experience it directly, even though it's there, because of the activities or waves of your personal mind. And the only advice that we're given when you chase it down, when you try to find it, you've searched widely and deeply with all the great beings in existence, is that the universal mind appears for split seconds between the thoughts and images that flow through your personal mind. Now, this is what you do when you meditate, when you practice introspection, contemplation, anything like that, where you examine the flow of mind, you calm it down, you let it flow, and you will eventually, because it happens, see that between a series of thoughts there is a pause. In the beginning it's a fractional pause, but this is what the great meditation masters do. They capture that pause in the sense of allow it to open before the streamings of the thoughts pour on. So a thought arises, and before another one follows on with it, there's a split second space where there's something can be accessed. Now, if you go to a movie theater and you see a strip of film in the old days, it was 24 frames per second. 24 images would be strung along and take a second to go through the projector. And they'd show a movie as if it was real life. It looked as if people were there walking on the screen and all that. Now, in between each frame was a black line that separated each frame. And in our analogy, that black line between each frame of your life is the entry point for you to tap into the primordial energy, the manifesting power of life. See, it's nowhere to be found in the distance, in the future, or anything. It's closer than your own breath. It's that split-second space. I'm going to show you why you haven't got access of it in a moment. So from now on, consider yourself essentially as a series of electronic pulses that throb on and off at fantastic speeds, because that's pretty true. That's what you are. And this is the same with the images and pictures and thoughts that flow through your mind. One appears, then another one, rather like the movie. There's a stream of them, then a space, then a different stream comes. You're looking for space. You're looking for that point which is within you and with you all through your life, but you've never paid attention to it. And your life is actually filled with new movies, so to speak, new audios flooding through over and over and over again, usually, unfortunately, the same old ones. This is what repeating patterns are called. So the ancient masters advise us that if we can catch that split-second moment, it is the doorway to the manifesting power of life. Now, I want you to really grasp this, because you are a life magician. You are creating your life whether you're aware of it or not. If you want to have a far better experience of life, where you can have that yacht to sail around the world, where you can have that money to live as you please, where you can have a beautiful life with your relationships, with your leisure activities, whatever it is you want to do, jump on a plane and go to New York or London for a week or two, or whatever it might be, you can do that the more that you can access the manifesting power. This is the secret of life. How do I do it? This is what you need to know. How can I access? How can I open whatever it is to allow that to be drawn into my life? Do you see the logic? You have the power, you have the ocean of manifesting power there, the manifesting genius within you. You have that. All you have to do is to learn how to tap into it. Very straightforward. We're getting into this as we go through. Now, this is interesting because when you do follow the principles and open the door to this primordial power, that you will discover quite obviously that you have the ability to create. Remember, it's creating, you're creating. You're not attracting or drawing, you're creating. And you can get what you want, manifest what you want, and the more you do it, the more dramatically it increases. So you have to realize that you do have this power, that it is magical in the sense it creates things, it is manifesting power. And just imagine that for a moment. Imagine how different your life would be if you were able to access this creator power of life at will and draw into your life, so to speak, you're actually projecting it, automatically what you'd like to experience. So you get up in the morning and you think to yourself, what shall I do today? Maybe I'll fly up the coast. Maybe I'll do something in my house. Maybe I'll see some friends. Maybe I'll go and make a lot of money. Freedom, 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 freedom. This is what we're on about here. Now, this happens to people, and I'll tell you what happens as you do these practices, that you find the creative power is so strong within you and so available, and it's so obvious that that is what it does. When you apply yourself in the correct way, then, of course, life transforms. Because you're no longer the victim, the receiver, the recipient of life. What you are is a tiny little creator of your own personal universe. And if you wish to try to catch that space between the thoughts, which is your gateway, your doorway, and this has been advised for thousands of years as the key to enlightenment, then you only have to know how to slip between the thoughts to access that superconscious creative power, because that's what we're talking about, the superconscious creative power. Okay, let's get to some processes to help you in our short course that we're presenting here. What is the single problem? You see, until you know and you can identify the problem, the solution won't become apparent to anything in life. But once you identified it, you're 90% there. So your problem, like all the rest of us, is that you are trapped in self-absorbed thinking. Now, self-absorbed thinking is that restrictive cage which limits you from accessing your true manifesting power. It is the circuitry that's going on, because you are an electrical being, just like an electrical charge, over and over again. You're caught in a revolving circuitry, and that circuitry needs to be interrupted. That's what's got to happen. It's got to be interrupted there. And what is that self-absorbed thinking? It's the continual flow of thoughts and images that grip you. And it is a problem that you have to escape from. Then you're free, because you can't access the actual universal mind's manifesting powers unless you do that. So with your pen and paper, ask yourself this, because if you can identify what the self-absorbed thinking actually is, you can get detachment, separation, the ability to observe it in a third-party sort of way, then you're home and hosed. Most people can't. They're completely drowned in the self-absorbed thinking, which is made up of multiple subpersonalities, usually with narcissism as its base, me, I want, I. That's what it is. That's most people. That's what we're trained to be automatically when we arrive on the planet, because everybody else is like that when we arrive. So nobody's fault, nobody's to blame. All we want to do is to help you escape from that. So think now, get ready to write this down. I'll tell you what to write down in a second. What are the subjects in your life that occupy your thoughts most of the time? In other words, how much a percentage of your day, the time in your day, do you think about or worry or fantasize about, and write these down, money? How long do you think about money every day? Whether you've got a lot of it and you're worried about losing it, or whether you haven't got any and you want to get some, or anything in between. How much of your time do you think about that? It's a very strong part of the circuitry of your mind. The second one is relationships. How much of your time do you think about relationships? Do you think about it just a little bit when you're on the way home? Or are you somebody who is obsessed with relationships, who has had multiple relationships in their life, who can't commit to a relationship, but their whole head is filled with information and issues about relationships, so they're incapable of having a good relationship because they're locked in self-absorbed thinking about relationships, you see? There are people I know who might have 90% of their time thinking about relationships. Money as well is the same thing. What about lifestyle? Number 3, money, relationships, lifestyle. How much of your day do you think and consider and imagine and fantasize about your lifestyle? Maybe you don't like the house you live in, would like to live somewhere else. Maybe you do like it. Maybe you start to think, well, I'd like a lifestyle of lots of travel and meeting interesting people, or whatever it is. Just try and identify, what time do I invest in thinking about the lifestyle? And then the 4th one is the career that you follow, the career path. Are you without a job, thinking, how can I get a job? Or are you locked into some extremely busy, full-on career that takes up 12 hours of your day, 6 days a week? What is it for you? 9 to 5, 40 hours, and then you forget about it? Or are you doing things all the time, trying to get a better career? Doesn't matter what you're thinking about it, just make a note of the percentages. And then, finally, your leisure activities. How much time do you spend with your leisure activities, thinking about them? Or do you undergo leisure activities or start thinking about money or relationships while you're going through it? Do you think about leisure activities a lot? How you can go fishing, how you can have fun with the kids, how you can do this, that, or the other? What is the percentage there? Think of that one. That's very important too. And now write down for yourself, we're building something here for you, write down for yourself which of these 5 subjects we've just discussed is the biggest problem or challenge for you right now in your life. Which one is it? Just write down what it is and what the little challenge is. Just a minute on that, no more than that. And also now, because that should surface to your mind very quickly, what would you like to experience differently in each of those areas? I'll say them again, and that's the question. Write down a little tiny phrase or sentence, what you'd like to experience differently in your money life. Write down whatever comes to mind. Relationships. What different experience would you like to have, if any? If there's no different, then just leave it as it is. Lifestyle. What is it in your lifestyle that your circuitry is keeping you in, that you'd rather have something else? Your career path? Would you like something different in that? Maybe you're completely fulfilled and happy in your job. Maybe not. What is the improvement you'd like to see? And then your leisure activities. Have you planned things so that you can go scuba diving or play chess, go to the gym, whatever it might be? What's the ideal resolution to those issues? Now, what you can also do, don't do it immediately, but after you finish listening to this, make a mind map of your life using those 5 subjects of the ideal future that you would like to live out. And with a mind map, you just put the circles, you put me in the middle, and then you have 5 little lines coming off it with 5 little circles or squares, and in each of those you put those subjects of what you'd like to see it, and then off each of those there might be other little lines coming off with further details. So fill out a little mind map. Do this regularly because things change. Do this regularly and have a mind map that is the resolution of the challenges that you are living out. You do this prior to using the mind, as we're going to look at in a second, to show you how to do it. But unless you know where you're going, you'll never arrive. Okay? So you look at that, and it is these, the reason you're doing it is because it is these that make up your self-absorbed thinking that you need to be free of. Because self-absorbed thinking only gives you views of the waves, not the depths of your power. You see, these individual strands of your memories have wound together like hairs into a rope, and it is so strong. I mean, a rope can pull an ocean liner, an individual hair will just snap between your fingers. And what has to happen is that you need to consider, if you want to escape from the trap of life, the entrapment as it's called, the worry, the anxiety, the fear, the confusion, the dependency, etc., then what you need to do is to become more and more aware every day of your superconscious. How much of the time, make a note of this on your list there, how much of the time do you spend thinking about the superconscious or trying to establish yourself with it and in it? So let's look at how to do that now. We'll give you the 3 steps of how to do that, how to look and identify with the superconscious. Number 1, and this is where most people fall down, you need to start by believing in a higher intelligence. Now, a lot of people balk at this. They seem to have fallen into the trap of believing that there is no higher intelligence, that the human being is the highest intelligence. It's like some sort of madness, isn't it? But there is something that we can only term as a higher intelligence. Because if you don't believe that, then who or what are you aiming your personal development techniques to? What is the use of just repeating affirmations or visualizing things if there's no intelligence to pick up on it, on what you're projecting, and cause it to come into your life? If you want something to come into your life, then it has to be there. And most people stop their thinking at that point. They don't think more about what is that superconscious creative power that's there in my life. If I can harness it, if I can get it, not just say a few affirmations, but if I can get it and discover it and find out how to bring it into my life more and more, then it will reveal itself to you, just like anything else will do. Whatever you concentrate on, it will reveal itself to you. Some people find it hard to concentrate upon it. But if you don't believe it exists, or you don't have an open mind that it's possibly there, and you only need to have a few coincidences take place or a few abilities to manifest something, to realize there is some intelligence going on. I don't know what it is. It is, in fact, your own higher intelligence. I'll save you that time of years of trying to find that out. But it is there, and look at the jungles, look at the forests, look at any natural beauty. There's obviously an intelligence somewhere in there. Now, when you get to that point, and that is quite a steep climb for many people, when you get to that point, you can then enter, and this is the creme de la creme of personal development and getting what you want, you can enter into a conscious partnership with this higher intelligence where you can communicate with it and ask for what you want. Now, strange as that might seem, just look to nature. Have a look and see how little insects, there's a butterfly that when you see a picture of it, it looks just like the eye of a raptor, of a dangerous prehistoric monster. And somehow or other, on its wings, each of the wings, there's the eye and the outside of the eye of the raptor, and you look at it and you really think, oh, that's a raptor. It sits in the forest, and other animals who might be predators will see the eye of the raptor so beautifully illustrated on the wing. Now, how did that happen? Something's going on. Quite obviously, it's not a funny coincidence, you know. You have to accept there might be some intelligence in the universe to do that. Now, what you have to do, and yes, you have to know how to do it, obviously, is to enter into a conscious partnership with this higher intelligence, because if you do that, it will deliver. This is the strange thing that people don't understand. They don't even bother to try it. You need to try things to see. Now, once you have learned to do this, you have it for life. Can you imagine how useful it would be for you to get into the stage where you have a linkage, a communication with a higher intelligence, a manifesting force, that when you communicate with it and you want to have that wonderful opportunity, that benefit, those experiences, and it gives it to you. Because here we look at the mind itself. The mind itself, basically the higher universal mind, is like a being. It's like a human being, just like you or me. It is an awareness. It may not be a self-awareness like you and I have, which is really awareness of the personality, but it's an awareness. And the universe comes from that awareness. So the universal mind has its imaginings. Let's just say it like this, it's an easy way to understand it. And those imaginings are the contents of the universe. Just like you have your imaginings when you're dreaming, and you have the dream world, that's the contents of your inner universe. Now, what this philosophy means, and this is not something I've made up, this is the great teachings, the ancient secret mystery teachings, is that it is possible for an individual human being who applies themselves in the proper ways, it is possible for them to partner with the universal mind. And the stronger your connection with it, the more power you have. So this self-absorbed thinking is very strong, and this is how you escape from it so that you can access the fabulous manifesting power. So the first thing that is tied up in that circuitry of the personal mind is blame. When you're blaming, complaining is the second, anger and rage is the third, which includes frustration, disappointment, entrapment, those kinds of things. When you have those three in particular running your circuitry, it is very difficult to get any benefit. Very difficult. You will always feel stressed, sad, confused, weak, want to get out of some sort of trap, whatever it might be. Now, what happens for people like that is that when you try to change, when you imagine yourself having different experiences, which is what the whole of personal development teaches you. Imagine and it will come. What happens for people when they imagine their new experiences is that the small self, personal mind, screams out, no, 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 that's not me. I'm not like that. I'm different to that. I'm not that. I'm a little poor little something or other, whatever the unconscious patterns actually are for each individual. And when that happens, as it does happen for most, people give up their desire for improvements in their life because it seems so challenging and so difficult. And we all know people who shudder with fear when you suggest they do something different with their lives. Even though they're living in a discomfort zone, they're not in the comfort zone, they can't bring themselves to shake that shell off and start to grow properly. The information isn't there. You need to have it really carefully put into the old brain so that you can have it there and establish yourself there. And most people do not realize that they've been injured. And all right, so it's come from some dysfunctional family, usually that's the one. So healing is necessary. It's essential to heal and remove those instructions, because that's all they are, remember, instructions that were hypnotically put into you as you were growing up. And when you get to the point of intellectual understanding, is really a great beginning, that you are in a loop that needs to be interrupted by identifying the areas that you want to change, which is what we just did in those processes there. What is it you want to change? Because that is your path to freedom. And the more you consider that, and the more you attempt to make those changes, the more the negativity will be flushed to the surface and released. It's essential you realize that you are in this loop and you want to change yourself as quickly as possible to allow yourself to become free. Because there you are a small speck of the universal mind, and just like a hologram tells us, you might know a bit about holograms, Carl Pribram and people like that, where they can take a glass sheet with a picture on it and it can sort of seem to be 3D, and when they smash it on the ground, each little piece of glass that the picture was on contains the whole image in 2D in some way. And in the same way, the theory of the universe is that all of us are little shards of one single image, one single universe, because we've all come from a single Big Bang. And so the great teachers of the East have said that you are the complete universe. You have all the powers of the universe within you. It's just that you don't know and you don't use them because you're drowned in the waves of the personal mind. So what is important for you is not to be in a situation where you're struggling and sweating to try to make your life work and sort out that relationship, that money problem, that job problem, what's coming in the future with the robots and artificial intelligence and blah, 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 round and round the circuitry goes. You don't involve with that. You want to go for the big game. You want to go for the superconscious genius. Merge with the highest intelligence of your life. That's the real secret. Now, as you go through that little process or processes we've just done, have a look and see, identify clearly what is it that makes up the circuitry of your self-absorbed attention to your personal mind. If you can really see that for whatever it is, then you will be way ahead of the pack. You don't have to wrestle with it, you don't have to do something about it, you just need to get it and decide what else you want. And then you need to develop the ability to become introspective, to draw down. Now, how do you draw down the energy? Well, remember this. You, the personal mind, doesn't have to do it. The energy itself is life. It is trying to push through into you all the time. As it pushes through into you, it's flushing out the negativity, which gets projected into your daily life. Just like if you're in a relationship where someone really loves you and you're filled with hate because of your parents, then what you find is that that person's love will flush out the negativity of the parental hate that you're carrying. And you will feel more negative. They will be on the receiving end of your negativity. In the same way, if your financial world is a struggle, as it's going to be for many people who don't do this work, really important what's coming, then what happens is that the negativity of your parental or whatever it is conditioning will recreate in your life the challenges that your parents or parent had with regards to money. You see? Or anything else in life, career, whatever. The impressioning is so powerful that it's almost impossible to block it. But it is actually something that can be done. And what you do is you take what I've said here for you in the sense of you have within yourself the superconscious genius, the superconscious creator, the higher intelligence, the divine mind, the universal mind. We don't know what it is. We struggle with words to try and describe it, but it is the essence of your being. And all you have to do is to get in touch with your own self by using these incredible but simple methodologies and understanding and intellectual knowledge to gradually sandpaper away the negativity that was put in you. You do the practices to enlighten the brain, to open yourself up more, because there is a staggeringly simple and powerful mechanism within you that just wants you to merge with it, because in truth, it is your own true self. And your own true self is the manifesting power of the whole universe. That's just the truth of it. They all say the same thing. You can experience these things yourself with the right techniques. You get a glimpse of it, it transforms your life. One glimpse, that's all you need. God, it's true, what they said. And suddenly, your life can become something incredibly fulfilling, incredibly powerful. So put those things, it's only a short time we've had together, I know, but put those things down. Really make that effort, that little mind map, that decision of what you want. Fill yourself up with that, and then pay attention when you're sitting with your eyes closed. As the thought streams run through you, in the beginning it's hard, particularly if you're tired, you need to be fresh. But as you sit there, feel, sense, what was that momentary split second between the thoughts or the images? You will feel it. It'll come obviously to you. You'll think, and then it'll build into feeling like an energy. It just feels strong, energetic. You get to know it. And you find that you begin to merge with it, literally merge with it. This is what happens for me. You merge with it, and you feel it, and you sense it. And then you find magic happens in your life. Magical events, gifts come your way, all sorts of things. But unless you make that your priority, it's not going to happen, because the old self-obsessed thinking will continue on forever, as it does for most people, the vast majority, because they don't know, they don't practice, they don't put anything together, they don't study, etc., etc. And yet not knowing this is such an appalling waste of time, because what you really want is to have a great life, and this is the way to have the greatest life possible. But people just don't do it. They won't do it. So as always, I'm going to help you by doing these, giving you knowledge, because if you can get it and use it in your life, it's so powerful. So as you know, I've done 6 superconscious courses: training, manifestation, power, secrets, energy. And so I'm finishing them off with number 7. This will be the last superconscious course I do, 7 being the magic number for a variety of reasons. And I'm calling it superconscious creator, because that is the real experience that everybody wants. The superconscious creator is the manifesting genius. And when you get into that state of self-realization, which you hear in the spiritual paths, you're in a position of power in your life. And I would advise everybody to become a manifesting genius, a superconscious creator, in other words, because that is the only way to dissolve victim consciousness. You see, if you're not there in your own true state, then you need this piece of the puzzle for manifesting what you want in this life. And this is a Christmas kind of bonus thing that we're going to do for you. So, number one, I'm going to show you how to clear the past by creating your future. A lot of people feel and believe they've got to clear the past before they create their future. That'll take too long. Don't do that. You do both at the same time. You clear the past by creating the future. You don't focus on clearing the past, you focus on creating the future. That's the real secret of that. I'm going to give you the methodology to do that in the fastest way possible. And these experiences you'll have when you get the course, which will be 7 sessions in all. We start with a webinar and go through the fundamentals of it. And when you get it, you'll be able to absorb that knowledge, let it pour into you, which is the best way, osmosis. It'll pour into you and the light bulbs will start to go on, and you'll realize so many things about yourself just as you listen or watch with it. So that's how we'll start. Then there'll be 5 more pre-recorded sessions that you can look up and at and repeat them if you want to. And then we'll finish off with another webinar at the end of the holidays, so you're not interrupted on your holidays. And by then you'll have the whole package, and as you follow it, you'll find that your life will automatically be transformed effortlessly. That's what it should be. You see, you're not doing it, it's doing you, as I love to remind you. It's doing you. And if you let it do you, that's the fastest way. And what is the it that's doing you? It's the superconscious, quite obviously, and your manifesting power. So we'll show you how to catch those moments of the superconscious emerging, special methods to help you do that, so that whether you're driving your car, cooking a meal, you're at work, you're interrelating with somebody, you will develop far more consciousness, so you'll be better at relationships, much, much better at relationships. That's one of the huge advantages of it. Nobody will be able to pull the wool over your eyes or treat you badly. You will have your centeredness so that you can make any relationship much more fulfilling, much more loving. That's obviously the secret, is to get the love there in it. So what I'm going to do is to give you all these different methods, and they will help you with the sandpapering away of those thoughts which block the universal mind from showing through fully in your life. You know really what you should have. If you were in a traditional society, this would have happened to you. You should be in a state, by the time you're in your 40s, you should be in a state where you can go within your own being, sit comfortably, quietly in your room, and be filled with energy of the primordial manifesting force. If you can't do that, it's really necessary to catch up quickly to do that, because we're going to be facing challenging times anyway, but just to raise yourself up to a far more conscious state. The manifesting power is the only way to do that. And I'm also going to give you ways of stopping the never-ending repetitive thoughts, the daydreams. We're going to wedge open the space between the thoughts so that the power can pour into you and you can use it straight away. This is a really, really important thing, because you must let more of it enter into your life. If you truly are committed to having a great life, if you are truly committed to that, and I'm sure you are, then what you find is that it will come to you. The fact that you're listening to all this now is the superconscious life, the primordial power coming to you. That's just how it works. You find yourself here, thousands of people got the email, you were one of the few that managed to get on this whole presentation. That's because you are in a position of attracting this knowledge into your life, which is very good for you, I can assure you, because nothing changes your life as well as this. And the magic, the miracles that will come your way will thrill you. You'll be able to write books about them as they come. So once you've got that initial understanding, then you co-create. I'm going to teach you how to co-create with the primordial power, with the manifesting genius within you, and you will be able to bring what you want with minimal action on your part, some action, but the big primordial energy will do the job for you in magical ways, shockingly magical ways. I'm finding this more and more, just amazing things happening all the time. So think about this, that if the divine, the universal mind has created the universe, then there must be a cosmic storehouse, let's call it, of infinite supply. It's coming out of somewhere. This whole universe started with a little tiny dot, they say, a bang, and explosion of energy. Out it comes, out it comes, out it comes. An infinite supply, getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. You can have your slice of that. It doesn't mind. Doesn't mind in the slightest if you want to be very rich. Not in the slightest if you want to have a fabulous relationship. That's okay, that's easy. I'm doing galaxies, it'll say. I'm creating galaxies. You want a great life? Oh, that's nothing. Here, have that. That's how it goes. So it's really, really interesting. So I'm going to give you the methods in your daily life, not extra time in your life, where you attune yourself with the cosmic mind to enjoy real success and access that superconscious directional power. That's what you want, which is everything in the universe. And it's necessary to dissolve away those beliefs, the ignorance of it, of course, but the disbelief that there is a limitless supply. If you believe there is a limited supply, which is quite common when you're brought up in an ordinary family, and you keep that thought going, what's going to happen for you? Limited supply. That's what's going to happen. So you need to move on with those. I'll help you with that as well, how to remove from your mind anything that disempowers you, that causes you fear, anxiety. I'm going to fill you with infinite confidence. And you do that, these techniques, simple, before you sleep, when you wake up, just a couple of minutes, just to keep the fire on the boil, so to speak, or is that the right phrase? And to increase your connection with what is universal within you. You see, you're stuck in the temporal time, the ordinary. This is what all the conditioning of life does for us. You don't want to stay with that, quite frankly. You want to move right on from that and become one with the universal intelligence, co-create with it. It will do the heavy lifting. You are more the director. The universal intelligence is the crew. They'll make things in the way that you direct it to be. And not only that, but you will find with this whole training program I'm going to give you is that it will speed up dramatically the merging of your individual consciousness with the superconscious. That's how it goes. You see, once you have the intellectual understanding, you're 90% there. Without that, it's very tough. So let me save you a decade or two, give you all the intellectual understanding. I've studied it for 50 years. It's the thing that I've done my whole life. Let me give that to you, and that will help you a lot. And there are certain checks and balances you can use. You can apply to see if everything's happening correctly. I'm going to give you those as well, and we'll be able to see if it's working properly. So keep the flame alight. You are somebody who has the opportunity and the possibility, the probability of merging more and more with your own superconscious. You need to have that special time put aside, in the sense of not absorbing time from the day, but in the sense of how you use your ordinary activities to get in touch with the superconscious more and more and more and more and more, and use its creative power. You must use the power that you're going to be given. You must make something of your life that will thrill you and amaze you. And you find that what happens, and what happens for me, is that these doors in the mind open, and you suddenly realize, my goodness, I can do anything, literally anything. And once you've shaken off those old patterns, opened the space between the thoughts, because the superconscious is with you all the time then, you see. When you do that, it's a little sort of knack you learn, and you'll find this will be something fantastic to do. If you do it every day, mix it with your daily life, it'll be like weightlifting. If you do that every day, your muscles get bigger, and you make the space available in all the great things that you're going for with your personal mind, your love, your money, your creativity, your success, and so on.